Peter, a 37-year-old surgeon, was raising little Jessica alone. The girl was 6 years old and was due to start first grade in the fall. Jessica was not his biological daughter, but that didn't matter to him. Before Peter had adopted the child, he had made a conscious decision that he had never once regretted in the 6 years, since he had loved Jessica and wanted to give her the best he could, to raise her to be a good person. Jessica was Peter's greatest joy, especially since his personal life hadn't worked out for a long time with his wife Martha, with whom they had planned a long and happy life. For several years, they struggled to conceive a child. The couple did not delve too deeply into their issue and did not find out who exactly caused their inability to have a child. Peter and Martha lived in love, understanding, and prosperity for 5 happy years. The disease did not bother them, and they decided to adopt a baby girl when she was only a few days old. However, the family happiness did not last long. Martha could not fully enjoy the role of a mother. A terrible car accident took her life 5 years ago. Martha had only a year of joy with her adopted daughter. She bathed her, rocked her, and took her for walks. The little girl no longer felt the gentle touch of her mother's hands. It was extremely difficult for Peter to accept the news of his wife's death. At first, he could not believe that he was left alone with a young daughter and that his beloved wife had died so tragically at a young age. It seemed to the man that all family sorrows were over. They made bold plans, but everything collapsed in one terrible moment. The spouses were just planning to buy a new, spacious house. They had been saving money for this big purchase for a long time and kept it in a safe deposit box. Martha even mentioned that they might adopt another child from an orphanage in the future. Peter had been so happy to hear her say those words, but now all he had as a memory were pictures of her, the clothes in his closet. On that fateful day, when Martha went to the bank to withdraw money from her account, she had an accident. Not only did the car go off the road and flip over, but it caught fire along with a significant amount of money withdrawn from the account. Peter didn't care about the loss of his savings. He didn't even think about it when he learned of the death of his beloved wife. His world had collapsed, and buying a new house was the least of his worries. He could still save the necessary amount, but he couldn't get Martha back. Peter for many years led a successful surgical practice in a large private clinic, earning a reputation as an excellent professional able to cope with even the most complex and hopeless cases. His high salary allowed him to save a significant amount each month for his dream home, where he hoped to move with Martha and Jessica. However, fate had it differently. His wife's car burned almost completely, leaving images of the accident lingered in the grieving man's mind for a long time. Now, after the funeral, he had to pull himself together to look after Jessica's welfare and start a new life. Peter had held the girl in his arms since she was an infant, so he felt a deep connection to her, as if Martha had given birth to her. Peter devoted all his love to his daughter and raised her on his own for 5 years because of his full-time employment. He hired an elderly nanny, Elizabeth, to help him. Jessica adored her and never complained when her father had to go to work. That's how the little family lived at Peter's clinic. He was appreciated by his superiors and coworkers alike. Some joked and predicted that he would soon take the position of chief physician. The fame of his skillful hands spread throughout the region, drawing people from small towns and villages to him for his expertise. In 6 years, Peter had never once taken Jessica on a real vacation. Recently, he decided it was time to show her the sea, take her to a resort. They both deserved a decent break. Until now, Peter hadn't dared to leave the city and his job to lead a full life. But one morning, Jessica planted the idea in his head. "Daddy, yesterday, Elizabeth read me a book about pirates. Now I want to see the sea." She said, "The sea is always warm," the girl said, crawling under Peter's blanket after waking up. "Do you want to go to the sea?" the man asked. June was in full swing. Many of his colleagues were planning vacations, and he'd forgotten the last time he'd taken a complete break. Just working at the clinic helped to take his mind off his loneliness. "We'll definitely go to the seaside next month. I promise. My little kitten." He kissed Sophia on the forehead and said it was time to get up. By the end of the month, Jessica was only talking about the upcoming trip. The girl's nanny, having heard the news of Peter's decision, told him in the evening that he had made the right choice. "Jessica is such a lively and she'll love a vacation by the sea. And you could use some rest too. You don't feel sorry for yourself at all." "But I've never even thought about it," Peter asked, somewhat embarrassed. "No, I'm looking forward to our trip." The hotel room was booked. The suitcases were packed, and Peter and Jessica were looking forward to the warm southern sun. The resort town charmed the girl, who quickly dropped her backpack and headed for the beach. Peter couldn't help but be pleased with his happy daughter and realized that they needed a change of scenery for a long time. The sea was warm. Jessica splashed on the shore, and Peter sat next to her, suggesting they build a sand castle together. After a short solitary walk on the beach with the other children, supervised by the man from his seat, "What happened, dear? Did you overheat in the sun?" Peter asked. "No, it's all right, Daddy. I just saw this lady. She looks a lot like the woman in the picture by your bed," Jessica asked. "No, she doesn't." "Are you sure?" The man was amazed. "Yes, Dad. The picture with the black frame, that's her." "Who is she? Are you absolutely sure you're not mistaken?" "It can't be." But Jessica's stubborn answer didn't convince her father. Peter couldn't believe it because the picture was of his late wife. He couldn't bring himself to tell his daughter about Martha, and he didn't know if he should. Jessica just couldn't see her mom, she thought. But Peter stood up and saw the woman with his own eyes. "Come on, I'll show you." Jessica pulled her father's hand and pointed to a stranger nearby sunbathing on a chaise lounge later froze in place. It was indeed Martha, safe and sound, with a beautiful tan and long hair, just like before. He had always liked her hair. But how was this possible? He couldn't believe what was happening. Somehow, Peter snapped out of his stupor and stopped looking at Martha's bright and his former colleague was lying on a nearby chaise lounge, stretched out to his full height. The man had previously replaced Peter at the clinic, but shortly before Martha's death, he had been fired for embezzling drugs and improper reports. The drugs were serious, and John was involved in illegal activity. He didn't get a conviction, but was dishonorably discharged. Peter didn't even know where he could be hired after this incident. "Daddy, are you all right?" Jessica shook his hand, getting his attention. "Is she an aunt?" "No, honey, she's not. They just look a lot alike. That's why I was so surprised." "Don't worry." The man sat up and kissed his daughter. Peter spoke with difficulty, restraining his voice. He involuntarily turned his head toward the couple. Martha was as real as ever. John at her side also left no doubt of her existence. Peter was surprised and angry. He understood what it meant, but he didn't want to admit it. He searched for hidden meanings, building theories. The man quietly left the beach with Jessica. Peter continued to watch the lovers from a decent distance so he wouldn't be noticed. "Daddy, why are we hiding?" Jessica whispered, looking at her father curiously. "We're playing hide and seek, dear. Just wait a little while. We'll go to dinner soon. Just give me a few more minutes." "All right, then I'll play with you." "Okay, Daddy." Peter managed to follow Martha and John to their 2-story house in the resort area. It looked expensive and comfortable. The male guest, whose money thought about the shameless and inhumane deception of his grieving wife over the Peter was seething and barely in control of his actions. Several times he was tempted to break into their house and expose the villains to get to the bottom of it, but he needed to leave Jessica with someone. The resort's guest house receptionist came to the rescue. "I can babysit your daughter. Don't worry about it. I've been working here for years. Many parents are away on urgent business, and I take care of their children," said a pleasant woman in her 50s with a smile. "How did you know I had to leave?" Peter asked. "Do you have a familiar, worried look?" She laughed. "Go on. Don't worry about the baby. Thank you very much. I'm indebted to you," leaving Jessica in good hands. Peter went to Martha's house. Inside, he was burning with righteous anger. A little calmer, he knocked on the door. Peter, his wife's beautiful face expressed fear and surprise. "How did you get in here?" "Come in. I'll explain everything." Surprisingly easy, the woman let him in. That made Peter wary. They entered the spacious, tastefully furnished living room. "Sit down. I'll get you some coffee with 1 spoonful of sugar." "As you like it," Martha said with a soft smile and disappeared down the hall. Peter looked around, examining every detail of the interior. He saw many pictures of his wife hugging John. He wanted to break them all, smash them all, make a scandal. Suddenly he heard a noise behind him and turned around, thinking Martha had returned. But it was John, standing there, holding something heavy in his hands. Peter dodged just in time, and the blow hit the back of the chair he was sitting on. "You finally found us," John hissed. "I've dreamed of seeing your face. When you all find out, the perfect surgeon with the perfect wife. Your marriage wasn't so perfect." He laughed, and Peter was filled with such anger that he lunged at the man without fear of getting punched in the jaw. They began to struggle when Martha burst into the room and intervened. At that moment, the police burst into the house, and the accomplices were stunned, raising their own. "I regret nothing," Martha shouted hysterically at Peter. "I never loved you. You're nothing compared to John. He never cared for me." "I did everything for you, you ungrateful fool," Peter replied. "I've never felt that way, and John is a good lover. Now you will share a joint destiny." Peter said goodbye as they saw the lovers off. He no longer looked at them. Criminal charges were filed against Martha and John. It turned out that they had been in a secret relationship for a long time and planned everything. The girl occasionally visited Peter at work. Her own morals did not prevent her from having an affair while still married. Peter's plans for a long married life only got in the way. But their savings came in handy. 5 years ago, the lovers staged a terrible car accident to take the cheating man's money and escape. John used his connections to pull the whole scheme off. Martha and her lover went to a resort town, bought their dream house, and enjoyed a carefree life until fate brought them back to Peter. After the trial, when Martha and John received their just punishment, he continued working at the clinic and brought up Sophia. The girl was satisfied with the trip and dreamed of seeing the sea again. Dad promised that next summer they would go on vacation again, but already in another city. Peter felt great love for his daughter and realized that he had everything he needed in life. Thank you for your attention. Don't forget to support us by liking, subscribing, and clicking on the bell so that you don't miss new exciting stories. Good luck to you, and come back soon. There are more exciting stories to come.